Well, it is another week and another episode of Poor Man's Sports. Thank you guys for tuning in and joining us. I am one of three hosts on this podcast. Here joined with Eagles superfan Eric and Broncos superfan, although he's not wearing his Broncos gear for this episode, Josh.
Too good to brag about my rings, and but I
He's
got
lost
Nike.
his passion.
There you
He's
go.
lost his energy.
It's fine. It's okay. Yeah, thank you guys for joining in. We really appreciate it. Go ahead and click the like, subscribe button. Share this with your friends, all your sports, poor man sport friends out there. We really appreciate the support. Eric, where can they find these episodes of Poor Man Sports?
Well, you could find us on YouTube. Hey, that's okay.
Yeah. So it's a video
No
format. So
Video format.
It's we'll get the other things rolling as we continue going on. There's really not much to report on in terms of the sports world right now. So I feel like once kind of things start to kick up again, we'll probably also add more to the channel as things go along. So it's a work in progress. I think we've said this before
Yeah,
on the
definitely work in
podcast.
progress.
So
You could, if you then there certainly are stories out there. But hey, if you're an internet sleuth, it's out there. Look it up.
you come here for the poor man takes.
Try to be
sports.
the poor man.
So, yeah. So tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about the essence of sports. Whether we're losing the essence of sports, whether it's I don't know. This one's an interesting one for me to listen to you guys talk about. Is the essence of sports dying? I guess essentially, really, is the topic of tonight's episode. Eric and Josh will spearhead that one. But before we get into that, Josh, I don't know if you've listened to Nightcap before, right? Some episodes of Nightcap.
I have.
I don't know how deep you go into it. I know I've listened to it a few times, and they do this segment on the show where they do like trivia. They call it Dunk on Unk. I don't know if you tune into an episode long enough to hear that, where they kind of they quiz Shannon Sharp on his knowledge about sports. Well, I thought we'd do something similar for Poor Man Sports, and we are introducing a new segment on this episode for the first time, hopefully for a while, for the foreseeable future. This is Poor Man's Trivia with Josh. So I hope you're ready, Josh, because this one's going to be a doozy. I think I don't know, maybe I'll be able to stump you, maybe I won't. But
Probably. Holy smokes.
this should be fun. So I'm going to send an image here through our chat, Josh, and I want you to tell me what the name of the team is based off of the logo. Are you ready?
Holy oh God.
All right, here we go. Here's the first image. I am sending it now. For those who are listening and watching, it'll be up on the screen. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. I think that's...
And it's okay. And you can ask for a hint if you need it,
Yes.
but try to figure it out.
I'm going to have the music from Jeopardy playing. Is it from Jeopardy?
Probably, yeah.
Whatever that is.
What the hell is that?
You tell
I'm
me.
like leaning towards a baseball team, but I know it's not that.
Who's to say? It's an S. I don't know. You can guess here. What do you think it is? You got 10 more seconds before we...
I would say give him a hint.
You want me to give you a hint, Josh?
Give me a hint.
All right, this is a hockey team, not a baseball team.
Oh God.
wanted you to give you your best shot.
Can I give you a hint, Josh?
I don't follow hockey enough.
I know, but this is a fairly recent addition to the NHL.
I don't watch hockey enough to know that.
All right.
I don't.
All right.
Even if you tell me, I won't even know.
Well, what do you think the S means?
Sucks.
Oof.
Dark.
Okay, I love that guess. I just give it to him, Alberto.
It is the Seattle Kraken. Seattle Krakens.
The Seattle Kraken.
Kraken. I said Krakens for some reason. The Seattle Kraken.
Gross.
So you're
Gross.
0
for 1.
0 for 1. All right, here we go. We're going to go to the next one. Hopefully you can get this one right. Sending this to the chat now.
Oh, baseball?
That one's pretty obvious, yes, but
No.
no, that's too easy. That's too easy.
No.
Josh,
No.
do not.
Ask for a hint.
I want a hint.
Okay, give him a hint. This was not the. Okay, it's not their original name. They had to change their name.
But yeah, that's actually a pretty good hint, Eric. I wouldn't know.
Like right off the bat, I was like thinking of like the Angels, but then I saw the G.
That they've had this name for maybe 5 years. This is an old baseball team. They technically are a very old team. In a very, I'll give you a hint. It's an old team in a Midwest city.
Is it Cleveland?
Oh!
Ooh. All right.
You are right. It's Cleveland. Do you know their name? We'll give it to you.
Gays?
You got Cleveland. You got the answer right. What?
The Gays?
The games.
They are the Cleveland Guardians now.
0 for 2.
Sorry, guys, if I offended anybody.
That's there's worse things you could have said. So I think we're gonna let it pass. It's fine. Yeah, that was the Cleveland Guardians. Yeah, the Cleveland Happies. That's right. All right, let's get into the next one here. We got 2 more.
0 for 2.
0 for 2.
You said you were gonna go easy on me, and you're sending me like
you're the sports fanatic. I mean, I don't know. You got to know your stuff.
Dude. Poor man.
All right, here we go.
90% of what we've been talking about is like,
Here we go.
Broncos and Eagles.
Yeah, I know.
You're not throwing me a bone here, man.
You want me to give you one right out the gate?
Give me a hint.
Okay, I mean, this one is a college football team.
It's a collegiate program.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't watch. I'm not a fan of college sports.
It is a type of bird. I don't know.
That's okay. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not a fan of college.
really?
Not.
So you want to give it your best college try? No pun intended.
You could
The
just
Cox.
the what?
The Cox.
Why does it have
You're
to be?
close on the. It rhymes kind of with that.
That kind of does. It kind of does. That's right. It does.
The Roosters?
How does that? How does that rhyme? But okay, it is. It is the Boise State Broncos. No, sorry.
No.
It is the Iowa Hawkeyes. Jesus Christ. That was my fuck up. You're 0 for 3 though, Josh.
Yeah, you're like, Jesus, man. Like, not even anything like wrestling. Like,
You want me to give you wrestling? I can give you. No, that's too easy for you though, Josh.
oh yeah, thanks. Like nothing NFL.
The last
basketball.
one. He has to be able to get the last one. He has to.
No, the pressure's even high. Like,
No,
So
this
it's
one
so
you get. This
high.
one's easy.
This one's,
This one's easy.
Like I
Okay.
love how you guys are like exposing me right now, and you guys
We're
are
not
working behind the
exposing you. It's
scenes.
format. What's this last one? Who is that? Come on, Josh.
Oh, that's Boise State.
There you go. So you got one for
Get the fuck out of here.
That was too easy because I already fucked up and gave you that one. That's fine.
Yeah,
Look, this is
thanks, guys. I was gonna say
He
like,
would have gotten that one.
you know,
He would have gotten it.
like,
He had to get that one.
that was a
like-
gimme. I should have started with that one. That would have been a
You
gimme.
could have started off with that one.
I could have started with that one.
You could have,
But-
yeah.
Like this was an idea penned by Eric. I have to give him credit where credit's due. But I think this is a good idea. We're gonna keep doing this,
Alberto.
Josh. Yes.
You and I are gonna do one on Eric, and it's strictly gonna be WWE.
Oh, I really like that. That's a good idea. That is a really good idea.
Remember that. Hey, I'm just throwing out things.
You know what's messed up is I've told Eric I'm not a fan of college sports.
It doesn't necessarily mean you won't recognize something. Like if I put CU on there, you'd get it. I'd be like, all right, he'd
I
know
live in
it's.
Colorado.
I know,
Yeah,
but I'm
that's
just
true.
saying.
Yeah.
If I put University of Wyoming, you'd probably get it, right? You would get it.
Sure. Well, simply because I talked to you about Wyoming.
Right. I know. But I figured I knew you weren't going to get that Seattle one right, so that was more like I was trying to fuck with you. So, yeah.
You guys are jerks.
I don't know. I mean, look, Josh, you'll have an opportunity to redeem yourself the next time we do one of these. We'll keep it light. We'll keep it easy for you. All right. We'll ask you who's the current quarterback of the Broncos, and you'll be able to get that right. It's
Aaron Rodgers.
Did you hear that the Patriots got Brady again as a quarterback? April Fools. I don't know, dude. I'm just look. It's too easy to. Everyone can see through that shit when it comes to April Fools. I got fooled earlier today when I saw a video of. I think this is off. This is a little bit of a tangent on off sports, but Sony released a trailer for a controller that's like AI powered that will let you. That'll play for you. And I bought into that shit. It was first thing in the morning. I saw the trailer. I was like, oh shit, that's cool. And it said you can order pizza for you. And I actually believed it for like a. So I got pranked on April Fool's. So I just wanted to.
I didn't know it was April Fool's Day.
Well,
holy crap.
There you go.
I know. Same. I was like, fuck, it's April 1st. Jesus. How
So-
much shit is real and what isn't?
You
Anyway.
guys need to kind of guide me through this conversation for tonight. Is the essence of sports dying? What does that mean, Josh? Or either one of you can start.
When I think about that, I think the level of attention in the world today of people being interested in sports is declining. You know, and I'll even use myself as an example. You know, and when I first met Eric, when we talked about our relationship meeting at Sears, big bulk of our conversation was sports. You know, and I was a huge fan of waking up in the morning, turning on Sports Center,
Yep.
listening to the analysts speak and what the highlights, the top 10 of what is going on, basketball, football, even baseball, because it's all year round, and over time it gets saturated, or it gets outplayed, and it becomes too much of a skit, and you question if the game itself, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. Well, Eric, is a setup? Is it all scripted?
Yes.
And the level of attention span is declining as well. Like, who really wants to sit through a game anymore? And so I think just the level of interest is just declining. declining, and maybe interests are rising in certain aspects for certain sports, and we'll talk about one specifically, but maybe for all the wrong reasons as well.
I like
So
that.
that's kind of my summary and my thoughts on it. Eric, give us your
Yeah,
2 cents.
I think it was really well said, and I'm gonna kind of piggyback you on the attention span, right? And to your point, this was probably now what 13, 14 years ago when we were having these conversations, and to your point, yes, there was like the interest to turn on Sports Center or whatever. Most people were watching ESPN, but there was also Fox Sports was trying to kind of, they were slowly getting into the game. They're way more into it now, but they weren't as big as ESPN at one point. And I think it felt more exclusive. Like you had to be a little bit patient to wait for a segment or a show or an analyst that you liked. Like there was, the access to it was still early in its infancy stages through via Twitter, I would say, at that point in time. And now, to your point, the oversaturation, what we're doing right now, you could consider as oversaturation, right? And everybody report now it's great to see that people you have access to a lot of different avenues that you want to go down. And yes, you will find kind of that diamond in the rough that you like to follow. But to your point, it is just oversaturated. And we are living in an era now or in a world where everything is a little 30-second clip. Nobody wants to watch 162 baseball games. It is hard to sit down and watch every single NBA game at 82 games. It is so hard. Same thing with hockey. It's 82 games spread out through multiple days of the week. It's not, I don't know. I've not looked into the consistency of the schedule. I don't know if it's a consistent schedule or not. I have no idea. But it is very hard for people to do this kind of thing. Like they just can't sit through it. And to your point, it's like, okay, well now, not only that, but now there's millions of people talking about it. And it's just turned into kind of an argument with like everything, right? It's everything is a debate. Everything is a fucking rumor. Everything is a story. And it's like, we were also really embedded in these guys' lives now too, these athletes. And I think that sometimes can be toxic. Like these are people we're talking about, you know what I mean? And yes, some of them have behaviors that unfortunately they deserve the criticism if they do something really stupid. But then, look, we were talking about the Eagles this year and the drama with AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts. And now that that's all settled down, it's all just bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, is it really that big of a deal? It's not, but it's being made this huge story arc. And it's like, dude, this is just running at 24 hours, it feels. Like they talk about the same thing for 5 days. Like we're going to talk about AJ Brown for 5 days. And I'm using that as just a small example. But actually it's more than 5, but I'm saying in a row, it's like, damn, dude, like this shit, it just like they beat you down with it. Right. And I think that also contributes to it is that it's kind of become like a negative thing, more negative, I would say. And it just kind of beats you down to where you don't want to deal with it. And I think that does affect people to some degree because I miss the days sometimes, right? Where when you're young growing up, and I'm sure you'll remember, you would wake up on Sunday, you'd watch the game, and then the game would play, it would end, and then you just waited till next Sunday with anticipation, right? For the next game, and you didn't go too deep into the fucking weeds with a million other things that are happening, and now it's kind of hard to avoid that. You get sucked into this vortex, right? And you lose a little bit of like the exclusivity and the excitement a little bit. Now, I have not. I'm unwavered. I'm excited to get up, watch the Eagles. I haven't lost that, but I can see where that might get lost with maybe the newer generation of people. I think the old schoolers, if they're really dug into something, they're sticking with it. But to your point, it's now limited. It's becoming more like limited to one thing instead of enjoying the full season of sports. If you're Nuggets fan and then you're a Broncos fan, Nuggets, Sixers, Phillies, whatever, it kind of like it dilutes a little bit,
Maybe you guys can, because obviously I don't have my finger on the pulse as much as you guys do with sports, but Does it also have to do with maybe athletes becoming more? They're becoming brands before they become competitors. Does that play a factor too? Where it's like they kind of become commercialized before they're seen as like competitors, before they're seen like what they're really made of, I guess, out there in the game. Does that also kind of contribute to that where
I
it's like,
think this is becoming more true now with the way that the collegiate sport is designed with NIL, and for to specify that for you two, name, image, likeness. Now collegiate athletes can be paid to play college sports. Some of them are getting paid in the millions, millions. And that is primarily in the college football landscape, but they are now getting money from playing at the university. They can go out and get endorsements. They can be in commercials and gain revenue that way. Brand building. I don't think it's a bad thing. Good for them because they are making the universities a lot of fucking money, right? But we are starting to get more into this. It is the branding. Is it becoming bigger than the sport? Collegiate athletes are starting to transfer right away now. They can get into a transfer portal now and just transfer out. So if they go, they're highly recruited. They go into, they go play football at wherever, right? Alabama. But if they don't start and they kind of get their feelings hurt, they just hit the transfer portal and go to the next university, right? Kind of chase the next thing. And I think it dilutes kind of the loyalty and like being loyal to the brand of what you believe in, right? And I think to your point, Alberto, is it's no longer about like the loyalty. They're taking care of themselves and that's okay, but I think it's diluting the passion for like being dedicated to like a brand. You know, like if you go to the University of Alabama or wherever, you know, you're known as like I played at the University of Alabama. Now there's guys that played at like three or four, and I don't know where their loyalty lies. You know what I mean? And that's what being kind of a fan is, and loving a team or an organization. And
So that's another thing too. Is there is loyalty a part of people being disinterested as well? You know, there's always that chance of, and we'll talk about like a broader aspect, right? The NBA, the NFL. You know, when you get an all-star athlete, is their dedication really to the team, or at the end of the day, is it really just a business?
right,
You know, and the thing is, it's like I would love to buy a jersey, but do I really want to, knowing the fact that they may not be here in the next 5 years?
right,
You know,
right.
so that also, in a lot of ways, is very disinteresting because we'll talk about the NBA as well. Everybody wants to play together.
Yes.
Everybody
Where did
wants
that
to get
start?
together,
Where do you
right?
think that started? What do you think?
I think it's always been around. I think there's the right way to do it. I think there's the wrong way to do it. And this is just from a poor man's perspective, obviously. But some can argue and they can say, speaking NBA specifically, okay, is the Celtics did it first.
That's right. Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen.
I don't think they did it the wrong way. If you want my honest opinion? I think they did it the right way. Because you're talking about how long did Kevin Garnett invest with the Timberwolves?
Right. A
How
long
long
time.
did how long did Ray Allen invest with his previous teams
It was the Bucks or
as
something,
well?
right?
He was with the Bucks. He was with the Supersonics at the time as well. Supersonics traded him because they were interested in the first round pick of Kevin Durant. You know, there's a lot of factors in that. He was getting older too. You know, Paul Pierce was getting older.
But he was always a Celtic.
He was always a Celtic though.
Mhm.
And then there was questions about actually trading him at the time because they questioned his he was too much of an offensive player. He didn't play defense, and then they decided, oh, we're going to get Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett's going to actually mature him as a player, help him defensively. We're going to bring in Ray Allen, and then they got lucky and they drafted Rajon Rondo, who was a big part of it as well. They ended up winning a championship. I think they did it right. Now, years later down the road, the Miami Heat does it. And they did it for all the wrong reasons, right? LeBron James was very early in his career. Dwayne Wade was very early in his career. Bosh as well. Their contract is up. And all of a sudden, what do? They were in the same draft. They had relationships through Team USA. They had a good time together. LeBron being the greatest player at the time in the league, jumped ship to go to a franchise that was more well known. The market was heavier, and it's like to me, it should have been the other way around. People should have gone to Cleveland to play with him, right?
Right.
But I don't think that was the right way,
And the way he did it, too, he made it like a spectacle. And
they gave him time on ESPN to announce it.
I know the decision. It was just, it felt like it really opened the door to a whole different, I don't know, a whole different world. And I wonder too, because it felt like from that point forward, LeBron became too powerful of a player. Like all of a sudden, like who's running this show now? Is it LeBron? Like, because then he goes to the Lakers. Of course, he goes to LA, and then it kind of became this like he's making the decisions. And to your point, I think that this snowballed into just it, like you said, why buy a jersey? And it became more about the player because
right.
Kevin
Durant. I don't even know where he's going to be next year. He's still relevant. He's later in his career. He's still relevant. He's still a great player. He comes to Denver, I'd be excited. But would I buy a Kevin Durant jersey?
Probably not, because he's going to be there for a year or whatever. If it doesn't work, he's going to try to go.
And he went to a championship team to win a championship.
Yes, he did. A team that had already won a championship.
Yeah,
without him.
And they weren't even happy to have him.
Didn't seem like it.
No, they were not.
Yeah. Him and Draymond.
Draymond Green, Steph Curry wasn't happy to have him as well.
So, yeah, and then they won before him, with him, and then after him, dude.
Yeah. and to me, that is very disinteresting as well, just because, unfortunately, it's like we have the greatest player right now. Do I think he's going to be loyal to the organization? Do you think he's going to stick with the Nuggets? Yes. But when his contract's up and he leaves, I also wouldn't be surprised at the same time. That sucks, having that in my mind, because people want to play with other people so that they can win.
Right.
Instead of just, like, we don't have the Dirk Nowinskis anymore.
Right.
One of the greatest power forwards in the NBA.
Tim
Started
Duncan.
as Maverick. He left. Tim Duncan.
Well, and Dwayne Wade, he stayed at Miami his whole career, I think, right?
He did?
No. He went to the
left
Bulls.
And he went to Chicago and he went back to Miami. He was at the end of his career.
Way later, yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that's just a rare case. And like the Mavericks loved Luka.
I know.
And they traded for him.
Traded him away.
And he wasn't happy about that. He was surprised, and it was a business decision.
Still trying to figure out what business they were thinking.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just that's what sucks. And You treat it too much like a business, and then you pay these athletes so much money. Now, who's in control of things? And it's just, again, you know,
Right, but to your point, how long did you think about John Elway, drafted in '83? I mean, he stayed in Denver from '83 to '98, and you think about the journey as a fan and how it ended. I can't think of a more perfect example of like a guy that was stuck with an organization. He had ups and downs, plenty of opportunities to win, fell short, and then he topped it off.
and there were talks of in the '90s, early '90s, that the Broncos were over him. The fan base was tired of him, and there was going to be a potential trade until they got Mike Shanahan as the head coach, and he's like, we have to support him.
Right. It was about building a team.
And they build the team around him, and he was able to get over the hump and win back-to-back Super Bowls.
It was patience.
Yeah.
It was back when there was a thing called patience.
Oh, absolutely. Peyton Manning, when he left the Colts, right reasons. Get it, right? He neck injury, he was out. They had the opportunity to get a first-round pick.
Yeah.
I get it, right?
Yeah.
Tom Brady, end of his career. There was some animosity for whatever reason between Belichick and Tom Brady. Leaves to the Bucks. Right reasons. So, yeah, there's a right way of doing things and there's a wrong way of doing things. And unfortunately, to me, the sports entertainment world of sports, they're doing it for the wrong reasons most of the time, and they shouldn't.
Right, and I think it's starting in the collegiate level now, and we're gonna see how this plays out over the next 5 years, 10 years. You know what I mean? To see if it trickles into the NFL, because I think the NFL is the last of, I don't know if the last of the leagues, but when you look at the major, it is at the top. When you look at the sport, I think it still possesses building around players, but I do think that the organizations are becoming less patient. And it's because we live in this like fast world now where everything's got to be instant gratification. We need it instantly, and I think that it can hurt a team, and I think it hurts organizations. I think it hurts players when they don't have a process and they don't want to try to dedicate because of the pressure. Right?
The next thing I want to also talk about too, which is interesting, is the level of authenticity, the level of grinding it out. Sports are getting too safe as well. Protect, like, for example, I will say that the foul calls, we talked about this previously on our last topic, in the NBA are getting ridiculous. I think the overprotection of certain quarterbacks, maybe all quarterbacks, are getting ridiculous as well.
Do you think that they're like certain players are sitting out too many games because they're being seen too much as assets before they're seen as like players?
I think so, and
the
I
NBA,
think
definitely.
LeBron James is guilty of it too. He decides whether he wants to play.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the way I look at it is we're paying you to play, to do the thing that you love, which is the part. And when I watch a Lakers game, I want to see LeBron James. And if you're going to sit down because you feel like the team that you're playing is better and it may be just a loss for you or whatever, you're doing me a disservice. And you should be fine. Like, you should have no rhyme or reason to think that way or decide whether you're going to play. That's just me. Like, I just don't want to show up to work. Now you're just questioning my integrity.
Right.
I think that is getting ridiculous. But again, there's a right way and there's a wrong way of doing that. Greg Popovich, arguably probably the greatest coach of all time, when the Heat was a great team. He played against the Heat one season. This was like probably almost 10 years ago. He benched his entire starting five and didn't play him. And I believe he was fined during that game as well. But he knew there was a good chance they were going to the finals. And they did, I believe. And he did it to really mindfuck them because the West doesn't play the East as much.
Nope.
And he didn't want to expose them to the Heat. Right way of doing things.
That's gamesmanship. Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like, I think another player right now that I see a lot that's sitting out of games and he wants to be traded is Giannis. Right? Like, I always hear that he's in trade speculation, and then he's on the injury report. And it's, to your point, it's like these people are showing up to the games to see Giannis, and he's sitting out because he wants out. But it's an injury, right? So it's diluting the quality, and it is doing a disservice. And to your point, with like LeBron James, like, you're being paid to do this. There are people spending their hard-earned money to show up to these games. Now, look, if you really have an injury and you can't play, that's one thing. But it doesn't seem like that's what's going on. It seems like they're just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it for whatever reason.
Yeah, and there is a legitimate decline in the NBA as well. There is a disinterest. I believe a lot of it has to do with a combination of the game getting softer. I think it's a combination of too many egos in the room, which is disinteresting. The game is getting softer. Okay. I would also argue, and you and I got into an argument earlier last week about this, is that there's a decline in the NFL. But you also made a good point too, is that there's an increase of the game as well, and for all the wrong reasons. And I would say that the game of football, unfortunately, is more of a family setting, a get together. You have it playing in the background. There's so many like avenues where you can have multiple games playing at once, whether you're a fan or not. And you're getting together, and is anybody really watching these games?
I don't know. I think with the NFL, I think it's a double-edged sword at times when it comes to the soft part. Okay? And what I mean is, I think the NFL is trying to figure out a way, because the game is so physical. And I think what we've seen from players that played in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the early thousands, I think they were up against serious injuries. Hold on.
I don't want to disregard that. You're definitely right.
I'm just saying that there's a different balance of trying to figure out, okay, well, how do we keep our great players on the field? Because it used to be kind of the Wild West. You remember those days. It was just like anybody and everybody getting crushed, right? You do a route over the middle, the wide receiver might get fucking smashed. That's toned down. But I think that they're trying to combat like serious head injuries, and that's what makes it tough. I don't think there wasn't really an answer to that. Right? When you're dealing with kind of head injuries and the game is kind of being put on notice.
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. Are quarterbacks overprotected?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, they're overprotected.
And as a matter of what's the difference? What's the difference? Right? So it's one thing that you're telling me that these players are like, I don't want to disagree, because there have been a lot of athletes previous that, like defensive tackles, that had so much head trauma, concussions, that it affected them as they got older. Right?
Yeah.
Very much with rage and certain things like that. I totally understand that. I agree that with that as well. But you're telling me that when a tackle is rushing the quarterback full speed, okay, and
Right.
as the quarterback is throwing the football, that millisecond of release, and he hits the quarterback, that's a flag.
Oh, it's bullshit. I'm with you. I don't disagree.
And
What
then on top of it, the games are dictated over favoritism as well. Tom Brady should never be hit. Um, Mahomes should never be hit.
Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, I understand. I believe I agree. It's
And also, a lot of these
oversensitive.
quarterbacks are again putting themselves in position to where they are going to get hit. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. These are very mobile quarterbacks, and they're complaining about getting hit, and they want the flag 90% of the time, and they get it 80 to 90% of the time. It's so fucking ridiculous. You put yourself in that position. Why bitch about it?
Right. It's football. It's football. Let me let me ask you, because I feel like I agree with you that the catering to the quarterback particularly is starting to get a little. It's getting out of hand. Okay. What I think I would like to see, and I don't know if it would work, but I'm seeing this more often in the NFL now, and I know you are too. I think the NFL is getting a little bit better with getting help reviewing calls, right? Like they're quickly like, okay, yeah, no, his knee was down. Like you'll see the ref quickly be like, hey, um, after video assistance, the knee was down, right? And they're doing this quick to keep the game going. I think they need to implement a similar mechanism from New York or Los Angeles, wherever the officiating headquarters are that support the officiating crews on the field. I think if they throw a flag on a roughing the passer, to your point, it just looks like a graze their face, right? And they're calling penalties. I think I'd like to see them incorporate like a quick little, hey, that's not a roughing the passer, pick up the flag.
So that's my other beef too, and I don't disagree with you as a fan, right? And there are certain situations where a team gets fucked by unfortunately a call that was overlooked purposely, maybe not on purpose. I don't know. Call it whatever you want. Um, but you're telling me when there is a game that is 2 hours long and then it's dragged out for another 30 minutes, why?
Well, it's 3 hours.
Or yeah, whatever.
It's long.
3 hours. And then it's yeah, but I can also tell you that it's 3 hours long too, because all they do is review after review after review after review. And it's so fucking annoying. The NFL started it. NBA is doing it as well.
Yeah.
Let these players play. Let the refs ref. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, we're human. We're gonna make a mistake. Get it? And it is what it is. Move on.
I think, Josh, I think
So now it's like the NBA is getting so ridiculous that you can challenge a foul.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then I'm sitting there for another, 120 seconds?
Yep, over some stupid shit. I do think the NFL can do better with the quick, like, hey, that's not a penalty, pick up the flag, and the referee can say, after video assistance, it's not a roughing the passer. I think they can do that. And I think it'll help balance it a little bit better. Just on that play. Because we've seen, dude, ask the Cincinnati Bengals. I think there was probably 2 or 3 games I can think about where they are playing the Chiefs down to the wire, and they're throwing a flag because of a late hit on Patrick Mahomes, gives them 15 yards. It's enough to kick a field goal. They kick it, and the game's over. I've seen this happen. And you're like, really? Like, Patrick Mahomes is like, he's embellishing the hit. You know,
Yeah,
he gets hit.
and he's also out of the pocket.
Flailing.
Common
What's that?
sense. He's no longer in the pocket anymore. He gets hit.
Right.
Bummer.
I think a quick video assist can help mitigate this a little bit. I really do. But to your point, it's not happening. It's not happening, and it's diluting the game a little bit.
And that's the thing too is they interviewed Patrick Ewing a while back, a long time ago, and the guy can barely walk.
Yeah, Patrick Ewing, the Knicks.
Yeah, he being on the court, what he did with his athleticism, it was hard on his knees, and there was some. This was during the time when Derrick Rose actually was playing at a very high level. He was MVP, got injured, came back, and he was like, "I'm really scared to play the game because, you know,
Oh, he was beat up, dude.
yeah, he was beat up, right?"
So
And
good.
they interviewed Patrick Ewing, and he was like, "The dude can barely walk," and he was like, "I would have never traded this for anything." If you're gonna play at a high level, you're gonna get injured. The chances of you getting injured,
Oh,
it's
it's
gonna
high.
happen.
Let me
It's gonna
let me
happen.
ask a question here. So I mean, because I'm trying to pick up what you're laying down here with the whole thing of the angle with injuries and stuff. From what I gather, past generations would play through everything, right? Leading to probably sometimes shorter careers and stuff like that. These players nowadays they prioritize longevity. Is it that athletes today are softer or are they playing smarter?
I think it's going to depend on the player and the situation for sure.
Yeah, but I think it's smart, but I also think it's crucial in affecting the game in a lot of ways. That's my problem.
Mm.
Um, I also think that again, you're treating it like a business, and now we're in a time, football, basketball, where we're dishing out so much money on these athletes that you want to protect them, and these top paid athletes bring in so much viewerships, you know, in person at the games, viewership on television, that they can't afford to lose this individual, right? Aaron Rodgers, when he was playing with Green Bay, greatest quarterback arguably at that time, gets injured. Who's now going to watch the Packers games?
Well, right. It's I think yeah, right. Let me say I do think the NFL is I think the NFL is in a different situation than the NBA for sure because the game is a lot more physical and these guys the toll on their bodies is significantly different. A lot of it is the head trauma and the knees, right? So I think with the NFL it's tough because
I
these
would say
guys
it's just the head trauma, but go ahead.
right, but the NFL there's a reason why they play minimal games compared to these other leagues. They can't play
You have athletes in the NBA
15 games.
complaining that they can't do back-to-back games anymore because they're so exhausted, and they should spread it out.
I'm just speaking to the NFL. I'm talking about the NFL. Right, right. I see what you're saying. That seems very different than the NFL in terms of what you're saying, like the
The
toughness,
physicality is different.
physicality. Right.
Get it, but they're harsh on their bodies no matter what, and Aaron Gordon was complaining. Hey, we were gassed playing against OKC. We
Yeah,
lost.
I remember that.
And it's like, hey, you know what the problem is? We didn't have a bench. It wasn't because you had to play every game. It was
You
because
didn't have a bench.
OKC came in, they were prepared, they had a bench to offset their starters to give them rest. They were coached and they were managed better. And you're asking for like a 2-day break after playoff games?
You're at the top of you're in the 1% of your job. This is why you're here. Yeah,
Now,
I get it. I'm with you on this. On that part.
really,
NFL I'm a little different because of how physical the game really is. It's so hard to just get smashed because it's the one sport where you have such a disparity in size and weight clashing into each other. I mean, you got a 350-pound offensive lineman decleating a 210-pound guy or a 220. That's a massive difference in body proportion, and I think it just taxes your body differently. So I think with the NFL, it's a different slippery slope. Like I do agree, the calls and the quarterbacks, this is getting crazy. They've got to figure something out. to help the game. It's never going to be perfect, but I think they can do things like implement like a quick little review, like not a fucking roughing the passer penalty. I can guarantee if they started doing that, some of these quarterbacks are going to stop their little like complaining about flags. It'll die down a little bit, not completely, but I think you'll see like a little bit of drawback. Like, all right, dude, they're going to call this the right way. Don't worry. You're not getting smashed. You know you're not going to get injured getting smacked in the face. Like, come on. You know?
Josh, maybe you could answer this question because I mean I'm not really, like I said, not super big into the whole terms and stuff like that with sports, but this is more of a what if question. Do you think Kobe or Jordan would ever tolerate load management?
No. No.
I don't think load management was even ever heard of until the last 15 years.
Yeah, they knew what they were getting themselves into. They were doing what they loved. And you're also talking about two athletes that played through injuries.
Okay, yeah.
You know, Kobe Bryant was at the end of his career, and his body was giving out on him. And simply, his mind was still in it, though. You know, and then you had Michael Jordan, who is out of the game for years. And unfortunately, when you're so heavy on your body like that, and then you're not playing, you know, you kind of like rust a little bit in certain ways, you know. And he came back, and his knees were failing him because his knees weren't used to that pressure anymore, you know. But they did it just because simply they were putting their bodies through that again because they just love the game so much, you know.
Right. Well, I mean,
Yeah, passion and the energy for it. They had it.
Peyton Manning couldn't even touch the field of football anymore, and he refused. He wasn't trying to break records. He just was still mentally in the game.
Yep.
so to kind of cap off this topic, I want to reiterate the same question. Kind of switch a little bit, but what to you guys is the essence of sports?
I've got a small one, one that reminds me that there's still players that want to play the game and that are passionate about it. I recently saw, this was a couple days ago, there was an interview. The Eagles center Cam Jurgens was on a podcast recently, and on that podcast he revealed that in this 2024 season, the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, towards the end of the year, he got a herniated disc playing. And this herniated disc resulted in like striking a nerve or something weird happened where it impacted the mobility of his leg. Okay. And it was extremely painful. And he did not want to sit out, get surgery, end his season. He fought through that all the way through the Super Bowl, dude. Then he got the surgery. Nobody knew about this at the time. And he said, hey, you know, like, I didn't even know how I was playing. Like, I just wanted to go out there and play and win, right? And then he got the surgery in the offseason. But he said even the surgery, because it was such a pretty significant injury, it took him a long time to recover. And he said it impacted him through the entire 2025 season. But you never really heard about it. He didn't really talk about it. Because guess what? He was showing up and he was dressing up and he was playing these fucking games. So to me, that right there shows me there are still guys out there that have the mentality of the things we're talking about. They do want to go out there and play football. They do want to go out there and try and win and put their bodies through whatever it takes because they know that the fans are going to show up on Sunday or whatever day they're playing and they're going to be all in. And that's what you love to see. I hope he doesn't experience, like, I'm sure he will. When he's done with the game, he's going to be feeling it, but he put it all out on the line. And he's not the only one. On that offensive line. I heard a couple other stories, but that's one I wanted to share, that those guys really did put themselves through a lot without saying it.
That's so sad because you rarely hear that anymore.
Right?
Brian Greasy injured his shoulder, goes to the locker room, takes a shot, goes back onto the field, and plays with a broken shoulder. Kurt Angle, Olympic wrestler, breaks his neck,
Mm-hmm.
continues to wrestle to win a medal. Stone Cold Steve Austin breaks his neck, knows that WWE at the time is declining. You have the Monday Night Wars. He is their saving grace. He's at an all-time high. He's where he needs to be. He's early in his career. He continues to wrestle with a broken neck.
Yep. Cody
That's
Rhodes.
crazy.
Cody Rhodes ripped his
Or his
pectoral, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Went out and put a fucking great match. Hell in the Cell. Seth Rollins. Great fucking match.
We need more of that, and instead you get one athlete that comes in, complains about something, and so to answer your question, right? Go out and play the game. Let the players play. Stop treating it like a fucking business. Let them play. And yes, I agree. There are certain things that we should change to protect and better our players, our athletes, on the things that are important. But stop caring about viewership. Stop caring about your business, right? And let the players play. And if they don't want to be there, then you're in the wrong industry.
Well, look at Andrew Luck. He just quit, or I'm not. I don't mean that in like a shitty way, but he admitted like I just couldn't do it physically. But at least he just said I'm retiring.
Yeah,
he
could have complained about that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of players that do that. They retire early because their body, they're just like my health, the physicality, I can't take it, blah blah blah. I get it, but it's not you. It's like you can't do it, then don't do it. Don't fucking try to have the game cater to you.
Right. They just, I mean, Andrew Luck, I don't think I ever heard him complain. He just, one day, remember, it was shocking. He was like, hey, I'm done.
Yeah.
After
And he
like
did.
7 years. Oh, he got beat to shit. But some of that was, a little bit was that on him. But he played the game. He was playing football. He was playing football,
I want to also change obviously continuing the conversation, but kind of redirect it in another avenue, is also, you and I kind of talked about this. And I had mentioned earlier that, obviously First Take, things like that, so fun at its time, but it's all scripted. Is sports, the world of sports, scripted as well?
No.
It's not choreographed, and there's no script, but I do think that there's times where...
Well, by scripted, I mean that we're gonna pick these two teams, and we're gonna do anything and everything we can to have them win it. Because there is a lot of talk about this. You and I joke about it. You actually send a picture of the Super Bowl 61 pictures. What are the colors? What are people insisting?
Oh god.
Oh, the kind of orange and light green color, yeah.
Right. That is a thing. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's not.
I understand.
But it's kind of interesting that there is something like that conspiracy that's out there.
It's like the Madden curse or what?
I think people are bored, but I understand what Josh is saying. I just think it's a boredom. We're talking about basic colors, but to your point, like I do think that there's times where, like the Chiefs and the Bengals, why is Patrick Mahomes getting this call?
Why is that receiver so open?
It's impacting the results of the game. I don't think that the players or the coaches and the owners are involved in it, but I know what you mean. Like they're not getting together before the game, and Patrick Mahomes isn't getting told like, "Hey, we're gonna give this to you." I don't think that's happening. There's too many of these players that are playing in the league that come and go. They could easily come out and all say like, "Hey, this is what I heard." That it's not happening. So I think it's not like a a scam. I don't think it's on like a scam level.
Actors do a movie and they know it's so shitty, but they're paid to actually praise it and talk about it. And then you wait like, I don't know, X amount of years and they finally say it was shitty. I don't know.
Yeah, I see where you're going with it, and I think that there's times where there's definitely terrible calls that are made in favor of our players that impact the results of a game. But I don't think that like Patrick Mahomes knows that's going to happen before a game. I think he knows he can get a call, that for sure, and he'll do whatever it takes to get that call because he knows it'll play to his advantage.
So the refs are more guilty than anybody.
Right, because they're the judge. They're the end-all be-all when it comes to these calls. And look, it's never going to be perfect. There's penalties on every play that don't get called. You know, it's hard to play a perfectly clean game, but right, like to your point, it lies in the hands of people that aren't playing in the game, they're officiating the game. And I do think that there's times it impacts it. I don't think it's a conspiracy. That's where I'm at. I don't think there's like a conspiracy, but I do think that this shit is happening where they're like, well, it's Patrick, we got to give him what he wants, kind of, you know what I mean, in the moment. I think that shit can happen, for sure.
All right.
That's why I think if you just implement one little change, like, hey, you know what? Hey, they call down real quick. That's not a penalty. Pick up the flag, make the announcement, play the next down. I think that would help mitigate a little bit of it. I really do.
I feel like we could be talking about this for a few hours. Maybe we'll revisit this and continue talking about it in part 2. But I think this is a good stopping point. Have our listeners something to chew on, to think about. You guys can tell us if you also agree. I think this is a very engaging conversation. I really thought it was well put together, guys. This is a good one. I really dug it. But that's gonna be it for tonight's episode of Poor Man Sports. Josh, next time be prepared for Poor Man's Trivia. Eric, actually, you should be prepared. We're probably gonna do a 180 and do something with you with wrestling. See your knowledge about WWE. But otherwise, thank you guys for listening. As always, really appreciate it. We really appreciate the support. We will return again with another episode of Poor Man Sports. But until then, Eric, go ahead and sign us off.
All right. Before I sign us off, I do want to... One little weird stat. I don't know if it's a stat, but it's a fact. I'll try to make it quick. Dawn Staley. She coaches the University of South Carolina. Okay. Women's basketball and the collegiate level. They're very good. Very dominant. Okay. She's an elite, goated coach at this point. She's from Philadelphia. Okay. She's a known Eagles fan. You can Google it. Big time Eagles fan. Sometimes she'll be wearing Eagles apparel on the sideline while she's coaching. She won her first championship in 2017. The Eagles then won the Super Bowl in 2017. She won her second championship in 2022. The Eagles went to the Super Bowl in 2022. They did not win, but they went. She then won her third championship in 2024. Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2024. South Carolina, they're in the Final Four this weekend. If it holds true, anytime she wins the fucking NCAA championship, the Eagles are in the Super Bowl. She's an Eagles fan. Go South Carolina. Dawn Staley, we need you. Go Birds. She knows it. I know it. Gamecocks, baby.
Sounds like a skit to me. A little bit of controversy right there.
Conspiracy.
I'll take it.